What's up, people? So it's nighttime, Saturday night. I'm actually having an evening cup of coffee. I do find that it doesn't really impact my sleeping too much at all. We'll see how this goes because I do like my morning energy regarding making videos. But LE, a friend who I've never met that is a regular viewer and commenter, asked if I would talk more about communication, specifically power. She meant, I believe, it's a she. I don't even know what right is a pronoun to use. Um, identifier. But anyway, I'm going to give this a shot because I think this is important stuff. The first thing I want to say about my my take on communication um, is grounded in the 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 fact of my where I'm from. Okay, that's one of the. There are so many factors that go into communication, interaction, self-identification, how we think about the world. So many things. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is the fact that I was raised in the Midwest in the U.S. with all of that plays in a lot as opposed to if I had been born, say, in even Mexico, or if I were born in Europe, or if I were born in Africa. Okay, set and setting, um, your orientation to the world has a lot to do with our worldview, which is the basis of how we interact with the world. Okay, I need to establish that. Okay, that's important because so many assumptions are made, can be made by people in communication, assuming that everyone sees everything the same way, or not even that, or just operating from the point of view that what you see and what you experience is reality. Okay, does that make sense? Because that's kind of how we all operate. Just kind of so many assumptions we kind of have to make, and then we go from there. So what I'm saying is that here in what I consider Western society, communication has has uses. Okay, and a big part of how we communicate is a reflection of our background. In other words, our programming, how we see the world, how we see ourselves, many of our core values. Okay, now to get to this idea of the power of communication, I'm getting there. Does it all relates? Okay, so what I'm getting at is that communication has purposes, many. It can be the delivery and sending of information. Um, it can be objective. It can be abstract. The information can be completely okay. I'm just trying to get this together. Okay, stay with me. So, what motivates us to our communication and how we interact with others, including ourselves, first off, has to do with what we believe about ourselves and the world, okay? And so I think that in general, we're not taught, or I don't know that it's taught the idea that ideas are ideas and that we live in the mind mostly. In other words, what happens in the world a lot, because what I see of this not being general education that I just spoke about, is that people react to information, events, people, situations more than taking the information in and weighing it, trying to come to an objective observation. And I know this happens, some people do, thankfully, but I'm saying in a large context, we are reactive, okay? And so in communication, the power, see, this is a lot, and I'm kind of stumbling, but I'm going to keep going, and I may not upload this video. I'm just going to keep going. One of the things I learned through my professional education as well as my personal observation is our motivation as individuals has a lot to do with the quality and the output, the outcome of communication. So in other words, like I said, communication can be purposeful, and one can resort to being manipulative. In other words, not being straight, say having, and I think this is just real common, having desires or something that someone wants to achieve or some sort of objective. And rather than being straightforward, people will get literally, it'll be as bad as being conned. You know what I mean when I say the word being conned, or just people just being disingenuous, maybe thinking they need to say certain things that they don't really mean, but they think that if I say this will get that. Okay. You know what? I'm going to come back to this tomorrow, but I'm going to use this as practice. I'm not going to upload this, but so okay, I'm going to practice answering this directly to you, LE. I don't know you, so I don't know your position. I don't know if you're a person who is having questions about your own communication style or what you're dealing with. I don't know if you're a straightforward person, I'd like to think you are, or if you're a person who is maybe a manipulator, or maybe a person who triangulates. You know that? Do you know that term where you set people against one another? You play one off the other. This happens in divorces and bad relationships all the time. Okay. So what I'm saying is that communication is powerful positively and negatively, okay? And I'd like to encourage folks to be more honest with the self. Take a look at how you interact with yourself, how you feel about yourself, and how that's reflected in how you talk and interact with others. Are you straightforward? Do you try to use other people, or are you the sort of person who is a people pleaser, or somehow your self image is low, or you allow others to walk over you or lord over you or tell you what to do? See, all of this has to do with what we believe in our orientation. So I'll use myself for an example, and that's why I bring up race a lot in my videos, because my position in this in our society is completely colored by that experience. In other words, I was talking with Tim Guthrie about this, like going out in general public and doing things like shopping and um, going to events and just interacting with the world. He, as a white man, which this America was basically set up for white men originally, he can go about his business just assuming everything is for him. All services are there for him, no question about it. I, as a brown-skinned person, attempt to do the same, but don't get the same regard, okay? It's in the news all the time. It's stuff that affects what's happening in the courts. This white assumption of black criminality based in racist myths, okay? So it's important for me to have a good grasp on how I see myself in relation to others, because just try to imagine this as a child, growing up and feeling like just a whole being, knowing I'm human, but as I start to get older, I really notice the message I'm getting from a big part of the world, which is that I'm not seen by the world the way that I see myself, which is I'm a whole human. But there's this racist aspect, okay? You following me? I think I'm going to try to keep going with this, Some folks are going to be saying, oh, he's talking in circles. It all relates. If you watch this a couple times, you'll see what I'm trying to get at. So, for me, it's important to have my own orientation and understand in dealing with other people, every person that I encounter is going to be interacting with me as though their reality is reality. And that can entail all kinds of possible agendas, motivations, etc. Okay? And it's up to me to decide how to respond. I've learned to you don't automatically just accept what a person says as reality like a lot of people do. Like, for example, and keep going with this. Say, just it's a typical day and you wake up and you're feeling good and you put on some clothes and you're feeling good about yourself, and you encounter a stranger that gives you a funny look or or even says, well, you look like shit. And that mere event, their words or whatever you take it in, and without even thinking about your choices about how to respond to it, you personalize it. Oh, most people do this. It's a knee-jerk thing. When we become more observant of the self as well as what's going on around us and what's going on, we are less reactive. People's communication has less power over you, especially in a negative sense. One of the things that I want to get to here is I deal with the reality of people just assuming what they think is what's going on, and so they will come at you insistently with their trip, oblivious to anything other than what they want to get at. They want to point at you. And what I understand is we all live in the mind, so I know this is just this person's trip. It's not reality. They're trying to make it reality. They keep saying it. And this happens all the time to people, that people will say things, and just because they say it, it becomes the other person's reality. And this, people are, a lot of heartache, a lot of problems are caused by this. This is the thing I want to get at, is people not understanding the nature of, communication and self. Is this making any sense, Ellie? Because I think I'm going to go ahead and upload this, because I could talk about this endlessly, trying to get my thoughts together. I think the main thing I'll say here, and really it's I'm going 15 minutes, and I won't worry about the time. I'll just go until I think I'm making sense. I think it is important, as I said in my last video when I was speaking about the video I watched from Phoenix about the guy's integrity and the way he spoke. It's important to put yourself in check, and know who you are and what you're about in regards to other people, My inherent self-love, which is not based on material things or arbitrary criteria that other people may set and say, well, this is supposed to, if you do this, then that means this, and if you don't do this, this means that. See, my internal dialogue is one of self-acceptance, flaws and all, okay? Which gives me a great sense of power against other people's bullshit, okay? I'm really ready and very accepting of people's acceptance and love and positive energy. But as a result of what I'm trying to explain and what I understand about the power of communication and sense of self and everything, it's increasing my awareness of ill intent from others, folks who would like to use you, folks who would like to maybe scapegoat you. This is a big part of what's happening in the world with this division or sort of thing, scapegoating and blaming one another, and it's just, there's not much wisdom in that at all. So that's the other part that I want to get to, wise mind techniques. It's literally a thing, look it up, where you balance the emotional with the rational, and you come out with, a balance of. So again, I use wise mind to clear up my responses to others, and also it helps me to put in check when I want to be shitty, because I'm human, and sometimes I want to just pop off to other people. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes there are times when it's appropriate. Mostly I want to stay objective and give what I want to get from others, which is clarity. Clarity. I hope that helps. Does that make sense? Anything I've said here? Because I'm going to go ahead and upload this. It's something like I could keep talking about it. I hope it makes some sense. It's just, I don't want to talk in circles, but, it's like, it's almost something that, it's like, well, yeah, I could write an outline before presenting the paper, before presenting the thesis or whatever. But that was my ramble for tonight, okay?